Hello and welcome back to another episode of Board Game Tutorials. I'm Simric Hughes from Blue Hand Gamers, and today we're going to go over Title Blades, Heroes of the Reef. So in Title Blades, Heroes of the Reef, we have a 1 to 4 player competitive game. There is a solo mode in case you're interested in playing it alone. But this game is 1 to 4 players, roughly about an hour, hour and a half. This game was designed by Tim and Ben Eisner. The art and world building were done by Mr. Cuddington. It is by Skybound Tabletop and Druid City Games. It's a pretty straightforward game where you only have a limited number of actions available in the beginning of the game, but as the game progresses, you unlock more action discs, allowing more actions before the end of the round. There are only 4 days, and at the end of 4 days, the contest is over, and whoever has the most glory is the winner. So, let's dive into a little quick setup. All right, so after a quick setup, let's go over a couple of the beginning things. This is an example of a secret objectives card. Every one of the playable characters has 3 of them, and if it is your first time playing the game, it is recommended to take the objective card with the compass next to the title. Next, we also have player ability cards, or character cards. Again, you get to start with your shell shield automatically face up in play, and then there's another character card with a compass next to it, meaning this is the recommended starting card for this character. And then all characters also have their beginning starting challenges. There are 3 different sections of the map that you can perform challenges on, so you get 1 starting challenge for each of those areas. This is the Lamara Stadium. We also have one for the Droska Ring and the Chronoseum. Now this is your player board. Your player board shows 4 different spinning dials, which are your stats, your traits that can be upgraded. It also shows where your active available dice set and the dice you have spent. And then at the very bottom, you can see the symbols of the challenge areas. Once you complete a challenge and you successfully complete it, you save that card for later. There's a couple of different bonuses you get for completing challenges. But anytime you accomplish a trait on a challenge or during a fight, you upgrade your dials to get more stats. So focus allows you to roll a maximum amount of dice. If you want to roll 2 dice, but your focus only allows you to have 1, you can only roll 1. However, as you can see at the bottom of the dial, you can spend fruit to roll additional dice. Now, if you take a look at the outside of the dial, you'll see that there's a green dot. That is where you start your dial. And then there are black colored numbers which indicate where you have to make it on the dial to level that trait up. And then you'll notice the blue hexagon symbol, meaning at the end of the game, if you have reached that symbol, you get to that many bonus points for end game scoring. Next, we have Spirit. We get these stunt cards, and the stunt cards allow you to perform certain abilities based on your spirit level. Next, we have Resilience. At the end of the round, after all players have taken their actions, one of the end of round steps to take is to refresh and upgrade your dice. Your resilience indicates how many dice you're allowed to refresh and upgrade. Now remember that word "and," because what dice you decide to refresh comes from your spent dice and goes to your active dice, but goes one level higher in power. All right, if you'll take notice of the dice, we have the white die, that is your novice die. We call that level 1. Then your solid color blue and red differ between the traits that are on the dice, such as synergy and resilience on the blue die. And we have spirit and focus on the red die. Those are your level 2 dice. Then the level 3 dice are a black die with the blue coloring in the center of the face that give you a couple of dice faces with like choices of either synergy or resilience, and then on the red one a choice of focus or spirit. And then your level 4 dice go off to a very specialized version of each individual trait, such as the level 4 die for synergy shows a few of the faces have doubles, a single, and then a couple of wilds. Well, no matter what level die you are rolling, if you rolled a wild, that can count for any of the traits. Lastly, we have Synergy. Synergy allows you to get new character cards. So once you hit that threshold, which shows the little symbol, you immediately are allowed to draw 2 cards from your character deck, read through them real quick, see which of them you like the most, and you keep one by putting it in play, and then the other one will get sent to the bottom of your deck. All right, so now that we've gone over traits and the dice a little bit, let's go into how we actually get to upgrade those traits and how to use those dice. Let's go to the game board and check that out. All right, so when it is your turn and you want to go somewhere, we have to look at, first off, this is the judge. He plays a very specific role, and we'll go into that in just a moment. So when you want to take your turn, you take your character standee and one of your action discs. Locate one of the single-use action spaces that you're interested in, because whatever images those show give you items or abilities, so to speak. If you do not have any action spaces available, you don't have to put your character on one to go to that area. You can put it off to the side, you just don't get the benefit of that single-use action space. So when it's your turn and you take an action, you move somewhere. That's number 1. You move wherever you want. You place your character standee with an action disc underneath it. And the reason we do this is that action disc will permanently block that action space from being used by any other player. And the standee indicates you are in that area. Now, every area has a bonus. It doesn't matter what action space you take, whether it is an action space or it's a free area that you don't get a bonus action from. Every area gets this ability. So after you gain your action space bonus, as well as the land's bonus ability, you are now allowed to challenge. Now in your challenge cards, if you have a challenge matching the symbol of the area you're in, you are now allowed to roll dice to attempt that challenge. Take any number of dice you have in your active available dice, and you roll them, as well as the danger die. You will also roll the danger die along with you. If you ever roll a red hit X mark, you have to spend shells onto your shell shield in order to block that hit. If you cannot block that hit, you permanently lose one of the dice you have in your possession. Now, you are allowed to continue rolling as often and as much as you want, as long as you're prepared to suffer the consequences of that danger die. But if you don't like any of those dice rolls, you just keep going. So let's go over the challenge card itself. There are 3 traits here. Sometimes they're all the same, sometimes they're different. But whatever one of those traits you match, you get to upgrade that trait on your player board. The black outlined traits on that card are what you are required to receive to successfully complete that challenge. So if you do not complete the challenge, you do not get whatever traits that you did roll. You can keep the card to be reused at a later time. You do not get those traits, and the dice you spent do go to your spent dice pile. However, if you did roll enough traits to complete the black outlined spaces, you completed that challenge and you get those. Now, the dotted outlined is a bonus push it trait. So if you roll a wild or an additional one to cover the push it, it doesn't give you any bonuses for extra points or challenge complete or nothing like that. However, that does count as one additional trait you can upgrade on your player board. 1, 2, 3. And then we will match this with the symbol underneath our board. This is worth end game scoring. This is now a completed fighting style. We'll go over that in a bit. And if you ever complete a full run of all 3 types, it automatically gives you 2 championship points on the tournament board. Now, the champion board allows you to track how much points you have during the game. At the end of every round or day, whoever is in the lead can steal the round bonus. It just gives you 1 extra bonus point at the end of the game. And then at the end of the game, depending on where you are on the board, if you hit those milestones, those thresholds, you gained those points for end game scoring. And you also have whoever has the most points on the champion board gets a tiered level of bonus points based on first, second, or third. And that brings me to my final point of upturn. If you complete a challenge successfully with the judge in that zone, that will also give you 1 more point on the champion board because you're impressing the judge. After you complete your turn, it goes on to the next player, who is now allowed to move, take their action, bonus action, and then possibly challenge. And then it continues around the board just like that. Here we have the Citadel of Time. Its bonus is to allow you to choose or draw 2 challenge cards. You can choose any of the 5 available on the top, and they're wide open for everyone to see how many endgame points they're worth, where the challenge is to be completed at, based on the color of the card, purple, yellow, or orange, and what traits are required to finish the challenge / gain if you complete it. And lastly, we have the Fold. When you come to the fold, you can choose either this monster's area or this monster's area. You gain your 2 or 3 shells. Every monster has a fighting style. If you completed a challenge that matches that fighting style, you gain a die for free that does not count against your focus, and you do not have to pay a fruit to use it. The level of the die is based on how many of that fighting style challenge card you have completed. So if you have one challenge card of the matching type, you get a level 1 die. 2 challenge cards gives you a level 2 die of your choice, red or blue, and then so forth and so on. So you, just like with challenges, you will continue to roll the danger die and all of your dice. When you match those symbols and your fighting is complete, you can set aside the dice you want to keep. When fighting is complete, you place a hit marker on all of the traits you have accomplished with your dice. You also upgrade those traits on your player mat. These colored spaces with the squares instead of the circles, those are armored sections. They require the shown level of die. However, if you do complete it and you get this, in this case, synergy with a blue die, not only do you upgrade your synergy, but you get to claim 1 champion point on the champion board. Now, if he is killed, whoever kills him gets a kill bonus. And then anyone who has a hit marker on this monster gains the reward. So at the very end of the round, we have several steps we have to go through. So first we start with checking to see if the monster invades. Now each monster has a number. The inner reef is 1 through 5. Fold's edge is 6 through 8. We take the only die in the game that actually has numbers on it and roll. If it matches one of their numbers, that monster invades. You go based on the invasion rule on the card, and if any player does not have a hit marker on that monster, they suffer the invasion on the card. If you have a hit marker on that monster card, you're safe from the invasion. No worries. All right, so after the monster attacks, we advance the monsters. If a monster is ever to come off of the board, they flee. Make sure to keep any hit markers that were on monsters separate from your hit markers, because those are actual successful hits and will be used for endgame scoring. When a monster flees, it says on the very bottom of the fold, move -1 on the champion board. And just like damage or the invasion, that it only counts for heroes who, or I'm sorry, characters who do not have a hit marker on that monster. The fleed monster runs away and is removed from the game. The monster above it moves down 1 space, and a new monster will be summoned in his space. One thing we did not go over, when you complete a challenge, your dice that you used go from the active to the spent. So whatever die you used or dice are used and have to then be refreshed. However, there's a little bit of a difference when fighting a monster. When you fight a monster, that energy you put forth is gone. So whatever dice you roll to fight a monster with gets added back to the supply on the table. But that leads me on to step 4 of end of round, which is refresh and upgrade. Whatever your resilience level is, you can not only refresh these dice, but turn them into any of the next level dice you would like. But after refresh and upgrade, we have the return your character standee and all action dice to your player mat so that they can be used and spread out again later. Next, we check the champion board. Whoever is in the lead gets to add a hit marker to the next round bonus. In a clockwise manner from Droska Ring, Chronoseum, and Lamara Stadium, move the judge to the next space. And then lastly, move the round marker to the next space on the round track. If that unlocks a new danger die, replace the current danger die. And if you unlock any new action discs, give those to your players for additional actions next round. Now let's go over endgame scoring. At the end of the game, we'll check out all of our completed challenges, which have a score in the bottom right. Add those up. We'll also add up the points for the highest space of bonus points on all 4 of our traits. Add those up and add that to the current total. Then we go to the champion board and see who's in first, second, and third place, which gives us the far right bonus. Then we score whatever threshold of points we've got on the champion board, and then any champion board round bonuses. Keep in mind, on tie, no one wins that round bonus. And there is no round bonus for round 4. That indicates end of game. Next, move on to your secret goals, your objective cards. Depending on what you have accomplished on your objective card, you gain even more points. Add that to your current total. And then lastly, any hit markers that you have from hitting monsters in the fold, those also count as 1 more bonus point as well. After that, you count all of that up. Whoever has the highest points is the winner. You are now the new title blade for the town. But yes, that's the basics of the game. Stunt cards are a lot of fun. They add bonuses, but you can only play 1 of them per each of your turn. And it's based on the level of spirit you have. Challenge cards, there is no limit to how many you can have in your hand. You can just start soaking challenge cards to prevent other players from getting them. Some of them require a lot of dice, but then again, that's a lot of upgrades. Market cards are nice. You spend fruit to gain them as the bonus action in the market, the Droska ring. And don't forget your 1 of every type of challenge bonus on the champion board. Easily forgotten, but those 2 champion board points are really nice. I think that's about all I got for you for Title Blades, Heroes of the Reef. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have Title Blades and you're trying to learn how to play it, I hope you enjoy it. I greatly love this game. Have a good night.